Efficient tips for online selling. I've kind of made a few points on some of the videos in the recent weeks about my personal take on efficiency and how I kind of think it sits at one of the highest points as a priority in terms of something that you should kind of be aware of in your own ability. Like, you can know what you're good at, you can know what you're bad at, but being efficient is really, really important. And when we talk about efficiency of online listing, I think it's one of the most imperative things. The reason being is that the tasks you always have to do have to be the tasks you can do the smoothest. You may look at outsourcing other parts of the job at different points, but I'm just going to assume as a base layer that we're all in the same situation and we're all currently trying to do as many of the jobs that we do ourselves as possible. So when we look at online listing, online product uploading, and looking at efficient tips for it, there's quite a few little directions that we can take this and start it in. So much so that I actually wanted to make a note of a couple points today so that I had them wrote down first. So this is the first point I want to go for, and it's figuring out what information is important for your product listing. A lot of people can get pretty caught up in thinking that just because you do a pair of jeans, you have to give the waist, the inseam length, the hip, the thighs, whatever. But sometimes you might not need to do that much information to get a sale. I do agree that the more information, the more results you get seen by, and the higher the chance of an easier conversion because people basically don't have to answer as many questions. However, I think that understanding what information is important for you to upload will also help you in understanding how efficient you are being. So for me, the information that's key, let's take this literal item that I've just pulled out, for example, this navy Lacoste polo shirt. The most important thing for me is understanding whether it's a grade A, B or C. The second would be understanding its pit to pit, which is its chest half, if you know what I mean. So the pit to pit, and then the length. I literally got a 5XL top, so it's a bit hard to get the pit to bit on it. But yeah, pit to pit, back and neck to hem, the colour, any faults like mentioned, and that's about it. I used to add material and things like that. Now, certain people might not buy a product because they might be allergic to a material, and some people might need like the hip measurements on all jeans in order to buy. But it just depends again about whether they're people you are like trying to hit as well. I know the goal is to be seen by everybody and to have the smoothest process with selling, but at the same time, you do have to look at the efficiency of what it is you are doing, because and one perspective might be that you could have all the information you need and be able to upload products like 20 to 30 an hour, or upload 10 products an hour that have almost more information that you need. So essentially you're doing double the work, spending twice the amount of time, but not getting twice the amount of sales. So it's really important to understand what information you use. So as a rule of thumb, for me personally, I would say brand, colour, condition, pit to pit, back of neck to hem, and some optional options would be, you know, collar neck for polos, or hip measurements for jeans, or material for other items. So that would be one of the first things in terms of helping the efficiency of the online selling. I know it looks like I'm a lecturer giving notes. I kind of am. This is another thing that helps with the efficiency of uploading products. Photographing in categories. Now, there could be people that go, well, I like a mixture on my store. I like to have shirt, t-shirt, jeans, all this. I like it to look and have variety. And I would say, fair enough. Everybody's got a personal preference. But if we look at the question, it is efficiency. The way that you are the most efficient is when you group similar products together. If I'm listing 20 pairs of joggers back to back, I don't need to change the information like waist and inseam and certain things that are almost synonymous to this category that are separate to something like a polo shirt. Like, I don't need to know the inseam leg length on a polo because that's a polo. Do you know what I mean? So listing the same products helps to create a smooth and seamless process. I also find when you list a lot of the same products, you get into a good groove with that category itself, and you can kind of understand, you can just kind of get understanding a bit of it, and you can create a bit of momentum. So a big point with efficiency is momentum. If you are building momentum, it means you're building confidence through the tasks you're actually doing. So if I list 20 pairs of joggers and it takes me like 35 minutes, and then I do another pair of 20 joggers and I list that in 25 minutes, my mind's just learning and simplifying all the parts of the process that help me to understand and simplify it. So that's just something that I would say maybe to consider. Maybe consider looking at the idea of uploading all the products in set categories, because I do think that it does kind of have some weight to helping you out. But this one is going to be the last point before I tell you about something that I think is probably the most efficient thing for people who are trying to expand on a brand in terms of online uploading. It can be anything, by the way. It doesn't have to be clothes. It could be literally this process for anything. But simplifying the brain's process of the task. And I know that's a bit of like an ambiguous one, but you got to think, essentially, a lot of the tasks in vintage, a lot of the tasks in the buying and selling secondhand economy are tedious. Taking photos, preparing stock, uploading items. A lot of the tasks, if you're still doing them yourself, are very tedious. You have to enjoy doing the same thing continuously. Listing products on a website. You have to enjoy sitting there, uploading products, copy and paste and copy and paste and copy and paste. You have to like fall in love with the process of what it is you're doing if you are doing it. Unless you're like, nope, I outsourced my uploading, I outsourced all this. Great. I will spend a video on good ways to outsource parts of the jobs as well and understanding when to outsource. But I would just say that the simplifying the brain's level of process, and it helps with when you list the same products. It helps when you understand exactly what the information that you want is. Like, you don't want to take these pair of like performance bottoms and go, right, I need to say what synthetic fiber they are. I need to say what country they're made. I need to mention exactly whereabouts on the leg the air is, like the logo. Like, you don't need to waste your time pissing about essentially with like extra stuff that your brain's not going to get used to creating a pattern of understanding. So for me, I take a polo top and I already know, like I'm looking at it as though I'm listing it, say this for example, and I'm going, okay, this is an Adidas navy zip-up hoodie. It is pit to pit, say 24, back of neck to hem is like 28. Okay, it's a medium. False, it's got a little bit of pilling. Okay, any other features I want to mention? No, because I don't do that. Like, people do, and I think that there is a place for it. Like, you know, if you wanted to be like elasticated cuffs and waist, metal zip feature, drawstrings for the hood, you could do all of that stuff. However, that might not be the most efficient way of uploading the product. And I know that this kind of goes against efficiency with uploading versus efficiency of how quick you're trying to sell. But take it from someone who's done it a long time. People don't want to know as much information as you think. And those that do are probably on somewhere like eBay, where the reason why people ask lots of questions on eBay is because the average seller may actually like upload every single spec. But when we look at efficiency, it's a bit different. Now, the last point I have on this, I think, is something that's a massive game changer. If you're not familiar with this, you might want to get on board with this. It's definitely something that I would recommend using. It's just something that if you're trying to expand and you've done all those three processes first, you've simplified all the information you want, you've made your brain, like, help your brain to understand it, and you've broken down, you know, photographing it in certain categories. Once you've got all them preliminary bits in place, the one tool I would recommend using would be a cross-platform uploading tool. So, just for example, what these do is it is a application, and just for the reference right now, I'm going to tell you that's what it's called. I'm not going to shout out specific apps and specific things, not at this point yet. I might do in time, but basically what cross-platform, like cross-multiple line platform tools do is that you essentially list a product in one place and it posts it in all the places. So maybe you have this tool that you upload products and it goes to Etsy and Vinted and eBay and Depop and Poshmark and all these other places. And then what happens as well with the tool is that once it's sold on one platform, it takes it out of everywhere else. So if you're somebody that wants to scale up very quickly, they're definitely very useful tools. It allows you to do so much. Like, it allows you to understand exactly what people like on different platforms, depending on your scale. And it just is a great tool that I would say that using it is definitely great if you're trying to expand. And once you've understood and like got all the other bits in place, like in terms of the efficiency of that, then that will help you. I think that the cross-platform tool is efficient if you're scaling, but the efficiency that's most key is just nailing down the exact information you're trying to get from the products and put onto the computer, how you get that information in as simplest way as possible, how you have that conversation with your brain to understand that whenever you look at a top, you know what you're asking. I'm telling you right now, I've seen over 1 million individual items, no word of a lie. I mean, I've sold the best part of 950,000, but like, I've seen millions and millions of individual items, and it's at the point now where I can pick something up and I would already be asking myself all the questions or saying it like, yep, this is a polycotton, Puma hoodie, black, drawstrings. You know, it just comes natural after a long time. And again, it's the repetition of the art of it. So I hope this little mini video finds you well. He says mini, I bet it's still the same length as the rest of them. But yeah, I hope this one finds you well, guys, and look forward to, what's that? Little D squared hoodie. Hope this one finds you well, and I'll see you on the next one.